Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to Celebrities. I'm with my boys here. Yeah, you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Well, what's up, everybody? My name is Twambi.
What's up, Michael?
And I'm Treazor, guys. I have something special I want to show my boys today. What it is about is, we are all Africans here. We come from Zambia, guys, and
Z1.
Z1, okay. They're different.
One Zambia, one nation. That's what it means.
There are different conceptions about Africa, that people have, and I searched up this YouTube video. I didn't watch it myself, but I was like, I want to watch it together so we can kind of like give our own inputs if we agree or disagree. So,
all right.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
All right.
10 misconceptions about Africa. When you go outside of Africa and meet people who have never visited the continent, you will find that they have certain notions about the continent that are either inaccurate or deceptive. On the other hand, it's odd that Africa is known across the globe as the dark continent, given that it's one of the sunniest geographical masses on the planet, and also that the locals have a usually upbeat attitude. The concept of darkness, of course, has nothing to do with the weather in this context. Rather, it stems from the widespread lack of broad awareness of the continent. The continent of Africa has been and still is misunderstood and misaligned. While we may credit the global media for disseminating certain prevalent myths about Africa, ignorance is no longer an excuse in this knowledge era.
True.
Hence, the goal of this video is to shed more light on Africa and all it has to offer as a continent. Before we go on, just a polite reminder, a sub to the channel would be highly appreciated. Don't forget to turn on the post notification bell so that you'll get future video post notifications. Without further ado, let's get started. Number 1. Africa is a country. When surfing through various social apps, you have probably come across a video that asks people to name countries in the world. And it is not a surprise to hear Africa being named as a country. True to that, this is one of the most common misconceptions that Africa is one large country.
Still don't understand
Africa
how people mistake that.
It's made up of 54 nations, each of which differs in terms of political, social, and economic frameworks. In the political domain, for example, certain African nations have kings as heads of state. A prime minister leads certain African nations,
Kenya.
while a president leads others.
Kenya?
It is a mistake to conceive of the 54 nations as one giant country since they are all varied and unique in their way. Africa is not a country, but a continent that houses 54 different jurisdictions. Number 2. Africans speak African. If you've been outside of Africa, there's a good chance you've encountered someone who has requested you to teach them the African language. A lot of people, after going abroad, have encountered this miscommunication before. And the first time it will occur, probably you'll assume you misunderstood the request and inquired whether they meant Swahili, since that is the language that is used in many countries there. There is no such thing as an African language. The continent is a bastion for variety, which means that it is home to hundreds of distinct languages. Over 2,000 languages are spoken in Africa, with certain nations such as Nigeria having over 200 languages spoken by various ethnic groups. However, it is crucial to note that certain languages are spoken in many nations, such as Swahili in East Africa and Zulu in Southern Africa. Number 3. Men and wild animals live together.
This one,
Africa is indeed home to numerous savanna grasslands, which house a variety of wild animals.
And you know what's weird?
This forms another prevalent misconception.
It's actually here
that
in
Africa
the
is a
US.
fast food.
It's here in the US where you actually get to see wild animals passing through your yard. Back home we never see.
Oh yeah, that's right, exactly.
The only
That's
wild,
facts.
The only wild animal you would see is probably birds or snakes. That's
Or
it.
chickens or than.
Nah, chickens you already know.
Okay, shake of it, chicken.
But here it's like when we came here, And so
Bambi,
Bambi just run through. Wow! I'm like, hey,
Food.
Bambi, food. That's food as we catch it.
Oh, yeah.
You know. Next thing you know, this man was excited to see a bear. I'm like, my friend, once that thing catches you, you're dead. Hey, bear. This one. You should speak to your brother. This is where you see wild animals.
Mama bear is gonna end up in my pot. Just kidding.
Where humans and wild animals cohabit. This misunderstanding implies that humans keep wild creatures as pets, such as lions or leopards, as well as other wild animals, and that lions are often seen wandering city streets. While it is true that Africa has a large number of wild animals, it is not true that they walk the streets.
Facts.
A popular tale goes that upon arrival at Nairobi's Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, a visiting visitor shook his head in disbelief. To the tourist's dismay, he discovered he had landed at an airport in a city that seemed to be much more developed than the small village from which he had come. All of the information he had ingested about Africa, safari drives, and the wild in Africa, according to the middle-aged visitor, led him to expect he would encounter wild animals wandering the airport as soon as he arrived. But in disbelief, he found that like any other country, Kenya was well developed with proper infrastructure and no animals wandering. Number 4, all Africans live in huts.
Yes.
It is a popular fallacy that all Africans live in mud and dung-filled grass.
It's amazing that to them it's beauty.
Yeah.
You know,
Although
having,
mud huts are one of the most popular kinds of dwelling in rural regions throughout the continent, it would be unfair to acknowledge the continent's quickly increasing metropolitan centers. Many African countries are seeing economic expansion, which is resulting in massive growth in cities with brick and stone homes, clean tap water, internet connection, electricity, and other fundamental requirements that inhabitants in some of the world's top cities have access to. Most African cities feature skylines that are nothing short of aesthetically stunning skyscrapers that have become a source of pride for their respective nations. Number 5, lack of technology. Africa has been seen as a dark continent that lacks technological advancement and one that only receives obsolete gadgets from Western countries.
Wakanda.
Someone who's never been to Africa retorting, I didn't know they had internet in Africa, or I didn't know Africans use computers, is one of the most prevalent methods of slighting or criticizing an African on social networking sites like Twitter and Facebook. This stems from the long-held belief that the continent lags in technological growth, or worse, that technology is unavailable on the continent. Africa has practically everything the rest of the world has in terms of technology.
Interesting. Good.
Even though we are a little behind, technology on the continent is rapidly developing.
Yep.
For example, when it comes to mobile growth, Africa is the fastest growing continent.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember because when I worked for Zamtel, yes, this was 2015, and I think optic fiber was like everywhere. Not all of them could manage getting optic fiber. Well, around the world at least. But I think 2015 we did, when optic fiber was actually like booming. We, as Zamtel, as far as I can remember, is they were installing that when it was just infant. Yeah, when it was being brought up, or when it had success during that time. And I think it's only recent that I've heard of optic fiber internet here, I think.
In America.
Yeah, I could be wrong. I think
we have optic fiber here.
Yeah, I think one of one of the internet service providers.
Yeah, we have I forgot what we have.
Oh, you forgot it.
Starts with an F.
Friendly. That one. Yeah, but I mean, again. Yeah, let's get into the video. Brady share
Over
some
67% of the continent's population is
that one's a black bit.
I used to have
another
that.
27% having a device that can connect to the internet.
With the boy in the middle.
Simply said,
That's
tiny
so fun playing
computers
games.
are available to 27% of Africa's entire population. Africa is growing not just because of the mobile technology and the internet, but also because of other types of technology that have greatly influenced day-to-day living on the continent. Having this great need
Yeah,
for a lot of
man.
people to advance technologically
Nokia.
creates a market for investors who
Remember
will
that
be
one.
making gadgets to fulfill the
Nokia
market
just went with
gaps.
Android. They would be big by
Number
now.
6,
The
not
Nokia,
everyone
right?
Yeah,
knows
they would
everyone
still
else.
be big.
This misconception is linked to the
Everyone knows
notion that
everyone
Africa
else.
is a single nation. South Africans
Yeah.
visiting Europe or the United States are often asked whether they know a
So
relative
do you know
so
Sha?
and so who lives in
Yeah, he
Namibia,
was my grandfather.
or someone who works as a tour guide in Kenya. It's hardly probable in a sea of 1.2 billion people spread out across 30 million square kilometers. It's the equivalent of asking a German whether they know your Liechtenstein-based acquaintance. Number 7. Africa is a continent full of corruption, poverty, and war. A popular impression about Africa is that it is underprivileged, corrupt, and continually at war.
As well.
This is an inaccurate portrayal of the continent,
It looks like
which is
Congo,
huge and
some
varied in
beautiful.
terms of political, social, and economic characteristics.
It's probably some of
The
East
vast
Africa.
majority of nations on the continent are calm and friendly, as well as very prosperous, even more than some of the countries from other continents. We've also seen free and fair elections, as well as the peaceful transfer of power to democratically elected officials. In terms of corruption, Transparency International has placed several African countries as among the least corrupt in the world. Botswana was rated 35 out of 176 nations and territories questioned in the 2016 Corruption Perception
no.
Index,
Yeah, in South Africa,
while
it's
Cape
not.
Verde was
Yeah,
placed
it's not.
38.
But I don't think it was.
What does this tell you? Is
Salt.
Africa still a poor, corrupt, and unrest
Santa
continent
Maria.
to
Where is
you?
that?
Number 8.
I mean,
All
just from the
African
name,
countries
I
are
would
poor
say it's
and
probably
depend
like
on aid.
Yeah, this
Despite
is a
Africa
big
being one
one.
of the most resourceful
All,
and
all
potential
countries are
regions
poor
in
and
the
they
world,
depend on aid.
there is a common economic misconception that all African nations are
Congo.
impoverished and
This is
need
the Congo
aid
River.
to exist. The continent is rich in natural
I don't
resources,
know how it looks like,
and each
but I
country's
believe you
government
said.
Have you
pursues
been
its economic
No,
activity.
I saw
While it
a
is true that a
documentary
large
about it
quantity
one
of
time.
help is
What's the name
delivered
of
to
it?
many nations throughout Africa, it is
Huh?
equally
What's the
crucial
name?
to
Of the
emphasize
documentary?
No, the river.
I just told you the Congo River.
Say,
Tell us.
No, I mean, he's putting names, you know that, right?
How do
he
you
said the something.
Dimongo.
Yeah, Dimango.
not Congo River?
No, he's putting names on there, so you say.
Maybe it's called
Maybe.
is it called Congo River? I don't know.
I know.
I love my Congolese people.
Okay, take it back a little bit.
Number 8. All African countries are poor and depend on aid. Despite Africa being one of the most resourceful and potential regions in the world, there is a common economic misconception that all African nations are
Yeah,
impoverished
and
and
it's
need
Dimongo.
aid to exist.
It's not.
The continent
it
is
could
rich
be
in
another
natural
name for
resources,
it.
and
Yeah, I
each
don't know,
country's
guys.
government
We can fight.
pursues its economic activity. While it
Hey,
is
if I'm
true
wrong, I'm
that a
wrong.
large quantity of help is delivered to many nations throughout Africa, it is equally crucial to emphasize that not all countries rely on aid to better their
Where green
population's
and
lives.
cleaner city,
Also,
Nairobi
On the
city.
contrary, several of Africa's most well-governed and developed nations get very little or no foreign help. This misconception about Africa relying on foreign aid might be because the region is seen as dry land. Many people mistakenly assume that Africa is a big desert. Even though the Sahara Desert is located there, barely spans a third of the continent. Rainforests, lush agricultural plains, and bodies of water make up the remainder of the continent. This makes a lot of regions to be productive and offer food to people living in that region, and a living after they sell the extra that they have to those living in urban regions. Number 9, Africans share a homogeneous culture. A lot of people from Africa who go abroad to other nations have asked if they can perform some famous cultural practice, for instance, jumping like a Maasai warrior. It is a prevalent misconception that since Africans are Africans and they are coming from the same continent that as a lot of people assume is a country, they all have the
It's
same
crazy,
culture.
man.
This just isn't
Amazing
the
what
case.
the skin can do.
Africa's culture is so varied that no nation on the continent is ruled by the same culture. There are undeniably shared cultures such as Ubuntu. Nonetheless, each ethnic group has its own set of cultural ideas that it adheres to. Dress code, piercings, skin markings, cuisine, and other tribal customs may all be used to demonstrate this. Number 10. all Africans are dark-skinned. The notion that all Africans are
That's true.
dark-skinned is widely held.
Mr. Light Skin.
This isn't correct. For various tribes and areas throughout the continent, we have diverse skin hues and varying shades of black. It's also worth noting that there are descendants of immigrants from other continents who arrived in Africa several generations ago and have remained on the continent ever since. South Africa is a wonderful example since it is known as the Rainbow Nation due to its variety in terms of skin color. That marks the end of our list of misconceptions that have been held by a lot of people about Africa. However, this video aims to make a change about Africa. Africa is well developed and at par with other continents, even though it might not look like so. As we conclude the video, just a reminder to subscribe to the channel. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. Explore the channel for more interesting facts and information about Africa. Until next time, stay safe.
What do you think, guys?
I think he did a good job on changing some of the misconceptions that people have about Africa.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I think it was a good one. I think it was a good one, guys. Yeah, I think it was a good one. I think the one that we live with animals is always the biggest one. They, I've told people, like, I used to have a giraffe pet, lion pet,
Brother, you were
elephant pet. But then I told them, I'm like, yo, guys, I'm just joking. But I'm like, I did because, yeah, they joke around sometimes. But I've had some people. So is Africa. Hey.
Well, the other one is actually sleeping in trees.
Hey.
I was ahead of that one. So do you guys like sleep in trees? I'm like, man, we got great houses.
We got more safe homes than
We got safer homes than this here.
is here.
Once I set this one on fire, even the next one will catch fire. Even that one. The whole city burns.
I think the houses over in Africa are more safer than the houses over here.
Yeah, because how we build them.
Yeah, it's true.
Stone.
Yeah, otherwise, guys, that was it. I think it's always important to, get your facts right. Just don't receive information. Always dig a little bit deeper about anything so that you can find out if it's true or not. Yeah, so Africa is not a country. It's a state.
Actually, it's a city. But it's a continent with many countries.
No, we know we got smart people out there. So, otherwise, guys, make sure to hit that like,
And subscribe.
share, and subscribe button, like Mr. TC said. Otherwise, peace out.